Fantastic. Right. Okay. So today we are joined by Martyn Oakey, who is the head of fitness at Everlast. So thanks for joining us, bud. First of all, for people who don't know, who are Everlast Gyms?
Cool. So Everlast Gyms, we are a combination of big box gym with a boutique fitness class concepts. So that's kind of where we fit in the fitness market. You know,
Sorry, Martyn, we completely lost you there, but can you just start again after that boutique part? It just cut out.
Did it work again? Are we back?
Yeah. We're back.
Okay, cool. So we are big box gym with boutique fitness concepts within us. We are owned by the Frasers Group, and we work as a face of the Frasers Group and Sports Direct. So we've got a part of that multi-fascia business. We've probably been operating as Everlast Gyms for the last 2 years. A bit of an amalgamation of XDW, XLA Fitness, and Everlast Fitness Clubs.
Okay, fantastic. And I'd love to know a little bit more about you, where you've come from in terms of how you've got to where you are and the role you're in now, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. So obviously currently now head of fitness for Everlast, but I spent the last 18 to 22 years. I've been a PT, fitness coach, class instructor for a multitude of different companies, from Fitness First, Virgin Active, Nuffield Health, Cannon's Health and Fitness before that. There's been quite a few, as well as a few standalone. I've worked as a PT, both freelance and employed. I've run fitness teams. I've basically just been involved in fitness for that length of time. So I've helped to train PTs. I've helped to build recruitment programs for companies. And now as a head of a product, it's completely rebuilding everything we have for the new age, modern PT fitness coach era, really, for Everlast.
Okay, fantastic. That's awesome. See, like you say, you've got a good number of years under your belt as a PT and stuff. And again, we've had conversations with people in similar sort of roles to you. And what's great, what seems to be the trend is all of you guys are PTs at heart. Like you've done the job, you know what it's like. And you do need that. You do need the managers and the heads of the fitness space to have done the role, because we all know PT is not the easiest thing in the world. It really isn't. To build a business, it takes time. So it's good to have people like yourself at the helm, really. So with regards to being a PT at Everlast, what does that sort of mean really in context? So what were the PTs asked to do? What models do you have? How does that work?
We've just recently launched our new model back in August. So we realigned all of our agreements and contracts from different, as I said, the previous companies like XDWs and XLA Fitness and Everlast Fitness Club, and we aligned it to one new contract. And even though we've got two sides of our business, we've got the elevated clubs, which is the stuff that you probably see all over on our socials, the nice, slick and black, well lit, great, sort of Instagram worthy stuff. But we also unfortunately have still a big part of our estate that are not yet elevated and will be going to elevation. So we had to kind of come up with a concept that really fitted all PTs. So we went down the benefits route more than anything. So we run a freelance PT model regardless of where they work. Okay, so even though they might have supported gym floor hours as a fitness coach in select locations, for those 16, anywhere between 4 and 16 hours a week, they are required to help us out, teach our group fitness classes, to help us out with gym events and challenges that we run. We're very big on that. We want to make sure that they are getting involved in running our member onboarding sessions called Move, which is where we utilize InBody and MyZone to create that member onboarding experience in their first 30 days. And we're trying to make sure that PTs understand that by creating those conversations early on, yes, it's a retention tool for us in a way, but also what PT does, it allows them to create conversations naturally rather than always worrying about where they're getting the next pound note. So, which is what they tend to worry about when they set up their business initially. So it allows them to have generic, very organic conversations with new members, creating those opportunities for new clients, and then again utilizing those gym floor hours effectively then to create potential client base for them. So within those 16 hours, they're more hours as they get more successful, they can start reducing their gym floor hours, and then they pay us a freelance rate for the PTs. They take home everything on their PT front. So it's quite a good little package.
No, that's awesome. So with the 16 hours, is there a set sort of time that they are to do those 16 hours? You see what I'm, or is there a, can they do the 16 hours forever? Or is there a cut-off?
Yeah, they work within shifts. So we will sort of guide them to 4 hour shifts in a week, or 3 if they only want to do 12, whatever it might be. It's very flexible on that front, but within those times we have certain parameters for them to do. So if they're on 16 hours, they're going to deliver at least 8 classes. They're going to have at least 6 hours towards move. They have at least an hour to catch up with their fitness experience manager and talk about their business planning, all that kind of stuff. So it's quite structured for that reason. So they utilize their hours properly, and we're getting a return of investment. But at the same time, the PT, understands that in order to grow their business, they've got to be active. They've got to be connecting with people. They can't just stand around and expect people to come to them.
No, 100%. I couldn't agree with you more with that. I mean, the PT element in those 16 hours, you're right, that it massively helps with their opportunities to build rapport, because they're almost being forced to in terms of those hours. They have to go and do it. That's part of your job, but it does start to build those relationships. Sorry, Mike, can you hear me all right?
I've just lost.
That's
there you
right.
go, got you back.
Brilliant. No, yeah, so the 16-hour side of things, for them to be able to build rapport with your members and stuff, it's so crucial to generate that PT business. And you said it there, without having to be too salesy, having to go up to someone awkwardly on a cross trainer with headphones in and try and sell them a PT block. It again, that doesn't really work. There's not many people that are going to be able to do that. So having those classes, having those opportunities will definitely help. You said about it there in terms of the PTs having their own business and growing their own business in order to become a successful PT. So everyone's going to have their own thoughts on what a successful PT looks like. But in your opinion, what do you think a successful PT looks like? And in what do Everlast sort of expect a successful PT to be doing?
Well, look, in my view, a successful PT is the one that has clients and money coming in, running the business. It's the same way we judge a business, a flower shop or a supermarket. If you're not bringing in money and profit, it's a pointless business. So, that's kind of where I see it. If the PTs earn enough money to pay the bills and enjoy their life and have the life that they're expecting, then that's a successful PT. So I believe our job is to help them facilitate growing their client base to whatever they feel they need to do to get the financial gain. So, that's where we try and look at other things as well. So within our package, we look at trying to give them more benefits for things like education. That's why we partner with FutureFit. We're looking at giving them discounts within our partner brands and everything else as well, like Hatton Academy and a few others sort of thing. Looking at like even things like GSN and some of our other sort of brand partners within our business, looking at supporting the PTs, give them a bit more lifestyle kind of balance and support, just so they understand that yes, they're growing a business, but also it's a fun place to work as well. So let's get the balance right.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there in terms of getting enough money in that you can actually enjoy your life. Most people come into PT or want to become a personal trainer because they enjoy fitness and stuff, and they still want to enjoy that. It can very, very quickly turn into either a hatred if you're not earning any money, or a hatred if you're over or burning out is probably the best way to describe it. So you've got to find that balance. And you answer my next question there, what do you guys do to help support them? And you hit the nail on the head there with, okay, giving them additional education, in-house training, because PTs themselves, they do need support, and internally it might be their own individual business, but they're working within yours. They need that guidance, whether some of them might believe that they do or don't. They do.
They need help.
Yeah, absolutely.
They create their own problems otherwise. And I think where we can jump in and support them is we're mentors rather than kind of teachers or instructors. We're mentors. We say, hey, look, this is what works, what has worked, might not work now, but try, see what happens, come back, let's evaluate and let's try again. And it's all that sort of stuff. So we don't want to downplay the online fitness coaching. We don't want to downplay face-to-face stuff or like social media. We want to try and incorporate all that if that's where you want to be. But generally speaking, we want to try and build the right metaverse, let's say, for the PT. But at the same time, if they're coming to want to be a face-to-face PT, let's do some face-to-face stuff so people understand that you're a PT face-to-face, and you can blend it with all the other stuff that you do.
That's it. I mean, there's very, very quickly. I mean, I've only ever done face-to-face PT when I was personal training. I didn't do the online. I'm not very good at social media and I don't do it. But you only hear now that the only way to actually earn good money is to do online PT, which is absolutely not the case. You can learn very well face-to-face work and
Yeah.
still enjoy what you do. And you're right, when people go, oh, okay, I want to do a bit of face-to-face, bit of online, bit of this, bit of that. At the beginning, they're spreading themselves too thin already. Focus,
Yes.
if they're in Everlast, focus on building that business first, get to 15, 20, 25 clients a week, whatever it
Yeah.
may be, and then transition into adding those bits in. Trying to do it all together in one, you're putting 20% effort in there, 20% effort in there. And let's face it, you're gonna drop. It's not gonna work.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So with regards to PT, so say they finished their qualification or they're looking for their next move, how do they find the jobs at Everlast at the moment? Where could they go to find them?
Okay, so couple of things, three things really. So we do the traditional route. So we go to Indeed, we go to that. But we find there's a lot more roadblocks now with Indeed because they want lots of money depending on the advert, or if it's a multi-role, multi. I can't remember what they call it, multi placement role. I think it is where we're getting PTs everywhere, and they go right. We're going to charge you X amount for every minute it's up. So it obviously causes a bit of a business hold up because we're like, well, look, we're not going to get a return from that. What's the point in doing it? Then we've got so we do still go down those traditional routes. Then we go down, obviously the partnership with FutureFit is starting to come together quite well. They advertise on their own internal job boards, and they obviously advertise to all their learners, say, hey, guess what, you get to have an interview at Everlast Gyms if you once you qualify. That's one of the benefits to come on board, so it gives you hopefully a better guarantee of getting a job, and investing in that education piece, which is a kind of like a mutual agreement there. So that's starting to come to fruition, but only in co-located locations where they've got a heavy learner base. So, somewhere like in our Barrow location, they ain't getting nobody. So someone in Manchester, in London, yeah, not so bad. But then the last one is, we're starting now to push out into our own channels like social medias, trying to get our own teams to share in their own communities, and trying to drive more people towards what we've built like in our internal recruitment system, a community. So even if there's no jobs available for them, they can enter the community, and then we can divvy them out into local areas depending on when a job comes live. So we've got a mixed bag of success with all of it at the moment. We probably just need to drive it harder and create a lot more narrative around it, and shout about what we're doing, because I do believe that we're one of the best packages in a commercial gym in the UK, but we're just not shouting loud enough about it at the moment. But we need to know new channels to try and find these people. So building links with colleges, building links with local communities is probably the best way we're going to do that.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, again, so many of the guys who we speak to are doing similar sort of things to you to try and get new blood in. But as I say, it's also, we mentioned it before the call started, it's actually just trying to find the PTs. It's still shooting in a barrel trying to find them. You've got FutureFit, which does help, but you need a housing unit to be able to go, right, we need to find X, Y, and Z PTs. Here's our postcode, and then boom, you go into a channel, which obviously is something we'll speak about. When it comes to once you found a PT, there's a role in Everlast Club. How does the onboarding process look? What do you guys do from finding that candidate to giving them a job?
Yeah, cool. So that's the piece we're really working on at the moment. So we initially built a very loose 12-week induction on board, or an onboarding program for them, led by our fitness experience manager. However, over that time, that's simply because I was one head of fitness to 67 clubs at the time. So to try and manage that process from a central point of view would have been a bit crazy. So what we've now done, I built my team up a little bit more. We've got a different kind of level of fitness experience management club now, but we are now building a 3-month mentor system. So where either myself or two of my other colleagues, we will run a cohort for 3 months with a group of new PTs when they come into the business, and we focus on, number one is finding your feet, building your brand. So understanding who you are, what your metaverse looks like, are you spending the right time in the right locations, what's your business plan and expectation coming in, what do you want to achieve, let's see if we can meet your expectation first and foremost, and let's make sure that you're not got too much pie in the sky thinking that you're going to be earning 50 grand in 3 months time, and really kind of bringing them back down to earth and being quite honest with them, which probably sounds a bit counterproductive with these kind of things, but a lot of the time
it's got to be done.
you got to say, look, you've been a PT as well before, Josh, and it took a long time to build those reputations, to build that contact network, to have the confidence to build that stuff as well. So eventually when we did it, we got a client base for it. It was quite easy, but to try and put that into a systematic format has always been difficult. And obviously, so many companies have tried with varying success, and there's some really great PTs that have been able to provide good mentor programs. And we're just trying to fit our one to our model and what we want out of it, and our belief system and our value system. So that's it. So we're building like a 3-month thing. So we've got basically find your feet, build your brand. Then we've got establish your business, and then we've got your future and development. And that's kind of how we fit. So hopefully over those 3 months, they're starting to build up to, we say a success story should be 12 to 15 clients by the end of that term. And then we then have a career pathway where we're aiming them to get to, after 6 months, we call them a developing PT. From a developing PT standpoint, they can self-invest into routes within Future Fit to go down these mastering S&C, mastering nutrition, mastering biomechanics, mastering boxing. And the idea then is they can then, over that year, educate themselves, get to master coach status. This is quite a new thing. But then that will then replace we'll sort of like pump back into our ecosystem by allowing these people maybe reductions in rent or whatever it might be. I haven't really kind of thought about the peak of it yet. But what they'll actually do is help mentor the new guys coming through the bottom. So we're giving them a purpose to stay. We're giving them a purpose to educate and be the best, because we know that it's not about how many clients, how many sessions you deliver. That's good for them. But for us, we want to make sure that we've got reputable PTs within our business that are actually getting people results, scientifically backed, not doing any fad rubbish, and then making sure that by the end of that, they're then giving back to those new PTs coming in and actually giving them someone to look up to and say, look, this is how I did it at Everlast. This is how I think you should do it. Try this. And then with our support network as well, they can then hopefully drive up into bigger PTs. And that's what will build our reputation ultimately. So when you want to become a PT and you want to be good at being a PT, we hopefully will be up there in those top 3 or 4 companies where people go, that's where I want to be.
No, man. I mean, you answered my next question in terms of career progression there, which is great. And that sort of that tiered system, like you say, going into sort of master trainer, going into being able to re-educate themselves or increase education when they reach a certain milestone is great, and they can start to maybe hone down maybe a little bit of a more niche area. They may have found actually this is my client base. I seem to be working more with, I don't know, females over 40. Then is there a course where I can work with understanding more about menopause, menstrual cycles, pre and post, that sort of space? It's understanding, and that makes sense. And it's good that you, like you say, that the guys who have done it and have become a success or built a good business, they should have the opportunity to help the ones underneath. I mean, that's how we started the online fitness education company we have now. We saw the amount of PTs that were coming through the industry who just, you said it there, but were being promised the world, and let's face it, that's not going to happen. And there were quality courses from different providers. So it's like the industry is suffering, and that's why we started what we did. Because actually we just didn't want that for the industry, and we're trying and slowly improving it again, which is great. And it does seem to be slowly finding its way. With regards to the PTs themselves, the ones that you said there are sort of growing up to 15, 20 sessions a week and stuff. Obviously, myself, yourself, we've worked with a lot of PTs in the past, whether it be just actually gym floor PTs when we've been trainers, or later on down the line with the role that you're in now. So we've seen a lot of PTs do well and become a successful PT. We've also probably seen, unfortunately, more not make it. What characteristics do you think the successful PTs potentially have that the ones who don't quite make it are struggling with? What sort of key aspects do you think they are?
That's a really good question. Look, I think it's the will and desire to be taught and to be coached. I think that coachability is the thing that makes a difference. So, using an example from yesterday, I was up in our Preston site running some education for our class concepts, and we know they're very new raw PTs when they're in that sort of position. So for us, we know that being in front of 30 people at one time is a great opportunity to sell your services to indirectly. Or at least to put your household, your name up in lights, sort of thing, for these people to go, oh wow, I like this person. Might consider a training session or another conversation. So it was a really refreshing conversation to have with some of these guys. They were just asking questions all the time about, great, I want to get clients, but I understand there's a little bit of a journey here. And it was like, that's great, the fact that they're actually willing to be coached. I think the ones that are unsuccessful, one, either misinformed. So they're misinformed for their educational company, where they've been sold the world and not really sold that next step. properly. They've probably been given a poor start or a poor mentor a lot of the time. So someone who doesn't really give them the time of day, someone who doesn't really understand the journey. We have that. And look, I'm going to be honest, that was a lot of our business. Like we were expecting our fitness experience managers to look after these guys. Half of them hadn't even had a successful PT business. So barely even some of them were failed PTs. That's why they went into the management route.
I had this conversation, not naming names, with someone previously, and about the PT element and the fitness managers. I've got to respect my fitness experience manager at the club. They've got to have done it, because you telling me to pick up more PT when you were a failed coach. I'm done.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Exactly. Talk to me about how those conversations go down. They don't happen because that FEM's he's not gonna engage that conversation because he's gonna look like an idiot.
No, it's just gone. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the problem. You see, we had so many people. We've now seen a really, really a nice swinging transition now. Like in the last sort of 3 or 4 months, we've definitely recruited better at that level, and we're definitely seeing a lot more people getting involved. And even some of the guys that come through say, "Look, I don't possess that experience. I'm going to get that experience before I take on a PT team." And I'm like, "That's credible." So that's the shift for me. I think it's the aftercare of the course. The course, the educations are great. I've even delivered some myself over the years, and the content's great. But I believe it's the mentor, the person that instills the passion to go onto that next step, and they get looked after. But then the other flip side, it's just making sure that the person's coachable enough to actually go, do you know what? I'm willing to accept this information and try, and not be lazy. That's like any job.
Yeah, you get at what you put in at the end of the day, don't you? And that's the thing. I mean, I totally agree. Like if you're willing to continue to learn and be coached and take on what the other PTs who are being successful in that club are doing and talking to you about. I mean, you said about working at Nuffield. My first PT job was at Nuffield, and I was really fortunate to work in a team of sort of 6 PTs who had been PT for a minimum of 2 years. I came in at 18, and it was awesome because you could build from that. You could listen, you learn. There was a guy there who was PT and doing the most PT, and my aim was like, I've just got to do more than him. I did more PT than him, and I'm winning, and that was almost the goal. But he wasn't. I told him that he wasn't upset about that. It was good. Yeah, it helped absolutely. That's awesome, mate. Such a great answer. So, one thing, probably the last question with regards to what I want to know about what you believe the education providers could potentially do as well. And you mentioned there, so within the industry, people who aren't quite making it or people who need that help, do you believe? You sort of touched on it there with the companies having a good mentor. What things would you think the education providers themselves could do better or could add to their courses at the beginning to help them have more opportunity to succeed when they come to you guys? What could they potentially do or we do?
Well, let's two parts to that. I suppose at the start, the education is to set out what the journey really looks like, and actually to say, look, we're going to give you the skills to become a good personal trainer. Absolutely, all the knowledge is there. You've got to have the and then you've got to have the skills before you can apply it. But I believe they need to be more realistic with the outcomes and actually to say, and not be afraid to say, it's a challenging environment, but what you put in, like you said before, Josh, what you put in is what you'll get out. Like any job, you can't expect to be turning up on even as a bus driver and be really rubbish at your job and be late. You're going to get sacked. You're not going to have a good position. So, it's all about making sure you're turning up and being accountable for your actions. But, for me, I just think that needs to be the first piece. That's only a small piece. But I think the final piece, I think more of these education companies need to align with companies like myself, with other people, or all the other providers in the UK, and almost maybe build like mentor programs for their fitness leaders to actually, right, do you know what? This is what we're teaching them in the education. This is what we think they need for their next steps.
Yeah.
We want to provide a course for the leaders, not for the PTs, but for the leaders of how to mentor PTs. Because in most of these places, they've got these people that run that are in like fitness managers or head coaches or whatever they might be. But I think they need to possess the skills of how to manage, mentor, coach, and inspire those people when they come out the education companies. So I believe that the attention should be put on the fitness leaders, not necessarily the ownership of the PT sometimes.
I think that's it. it's the first person to sort of say that at the conversation. I think that's an awesome thing. I think that's a really good idea.
They will fall over them because the PTs are going to go, yeah, great idea. I love all this, but I've got so much to think about. They're forgetting about all that other stuff. Whereas if you go, right, fitness leaders, this is what you should be fundamentally looking at for a new PT and systemize it. Like 3 major things, and then get them, that'll empower them. So every PT that walks through the door, bam, they'll be looked after.
Yeah, that's I'll be really interested to start having those conversations with you, mate. I think that'd be a really cool way to go. And 100% we can start talking about that with yourself and the other guys we've got in our network.
Nice.
Mate, this has been an awesome conversation. I really appreciate that. If it's all right with you, I'm going to stop the recording. I want to go through some other bits and pieces with you and we'll get Adam back. But yeah, thanks a lot for doing this. I really do appreciate it.
Good to get out there and build networks with people and discuss this topic, because I'll tell you what, if all of us get this bit right, we'll all have a much better grade of personal training coming through the ranks. So yeah, I'm all up for that.
Nice one, mate. Thanks a lot. I'm just going to stop this recording.